If you just focus on the last 4 or 5 series, it's very close. Nerchio won 3 out of the last 5 encounters, but Namshar also took 2 of them, and he took them convincingly, 2-0. So Nate, I would say it's anybody's game.
All right, it's time to find out as we load into our game here. As we are on Acid Plant to kick things off in the southeast, we have our blue Zerg player. He is Nerchio.
Likes the title of Mr. Consistency as well. Tweets out about it every now and then if he has another deep run. Over here on the left top side, we're looking at the main base of our Swedish Zerg. It is Namshar. I love how his fact is that he won the last 4 series versus Stefano.
Like, yeah.
If I'm Stefano and I'm watching
that on
this,
my fact plate.
if I'm Stefano and I'm reading that and I'm watching the show, I'm like, what the hell?
He's like, why do you have to make this personal?
Yeah. What's up with all the hate? This is so stupid.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, ZVZ fun. I like this. Nerchio is a player that we also know is like he's been one of those guys to mix it up a good amount. He does like to play smart StarCraft, not really as hardcore as someone like Bly in terms of the craziness, but also very just strong. Everybody in Europe that plays Zerg, you kind of have to be good at ZVZ.
Yes.
You don't make it anywhere in the European region if you're bad at Zerg versus Zerg.
No, in general, you're not even going to go through national qualifiers. If you're not good in ZVZ, I mean, the same can obviously be said for Nerchio. If he wants to get anywhere through a Polish qualifier, he has to not only take out, obviously, the star player, Elaser, but even guys like Guru are very tough to beat. Yep. Also a high-level player. And the same can be said for Namshar. If he wants to make it through national qualifiers, you have to worry about a Sword of, a Zanster. In the past, we had Mini Razor and stuff as well. I mean, just plenty of Zergs coming out of Sweden.
Yeah, so Acid Plant, pretty straightforward map. I think if you're not taking, like, if there's no Terran on the map, it gets a little bit more straightforward. You're not as worried about things like those rocks by the 4th base or potential 3rd. So
I predict this series to be, and that doesn't mean necessarily boring, but I definitely think it's going to be a little straightforward, right?
Yeah.
I don't think these are 2 gimmicky players at all. I think these are 2 players that absolutely have faith in their own ability to play ZVZ. I think Namshar may be the one that cuts a few more corners here and there than Nerchio does, but in general, I mean, Pig would love this series.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's going to be lots of roaches. I cannot really imagine that we'll see too many games where we don't see roaches. I think of like
it's not a Scarlet versus no regret situation.
No, and it's also not like Bly where you know that he can squeeze in a Spire or even do a weird Nidus build with Queens and maybe like the Lings or Queens in very early roaches. We do see the Baneling that's going down on both sides, but that doesn't necessarily.
Base,
yep.
Zergling speed.
Yeah, this doesn't mean anything for the people who are like, oh, I thought you said roaches. I mean, early on, it is very wise to at least make a Baneling nest and have it defensively. Yeah. Maybe morph 2 Banelings on the other side of the map and try to squeeze them into the mineral line, but the days where people make 28 Zerglings and try to win with Zergling Bane, I mean, how often do you see it?
Yeah, wait for the NA Challenger finals if you want to see that stuff. But yeah, both players just checking off all the boxes, making sure that if the other were to be doing something hidden, that they would not be caught off guard by it. But otherwise, a healthy amount of drones coming out for both sides. Nerchio's going to squeeze out a few Lings now, but not really enough to be threatening.
A very peaceful game so far, Nate.
Yeah, both the gentleman's handshake. Wings of Liberty style, baby. NR10, let's go.
Alright, so we do see the first big swell of Zerglings being produced by Nerchio. Now, doing this off 33 drones is a kind of nice amount. If you guys wonder why, you can see that he almost has full saturation on his natural. So if you make a bunch of Lings in this phase in the game, at least you have that sort of 2-base economy going for yourself. And you know you don't have that much to worry about. Now, we do see Banelings being morphed on both sides, as Namshar is already starting up that +1 missile attacks. And that's absolutely not for the Banes, Nate.
Yep, he saw those units making their way across the map. The Lings do manage to get 2 of those Banelings picked off. And 2 of Nerchio's Banelings make it into that mineral line. 6 drones insta-gibbed, and using the Lings to focus down 3 more of them, a few more of those drones, that natural for Namshar. Devastated by Nerchio.
Yeah, it was impressive that Nerchio was able to sneak those Banelings in. Namshar played greedy, right? He only had 2 defensive Banelings at first, And that was just not enough because he needed them on the right side. Now in the end he will clean this up, and he does have a few more Lings and Banes still out. But Namshar knows that he lost a few too many drones there, so he needs to get something done on the other side of the map.
Yeah, Nerchio sitting pretty at 50 versus 41 workers, and now because he has that worker advantage, he's just going to dump all of his production into those Zerglings. But the third base exposed, trying to use the drones to hug around where the Queen is and buy time, but Nerchio's going to start taking some losses himself.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. There's a bailing in the mix here from Namshar that gets one more drone. The Lynx will finish up at least an additional drone. So in the end, this was a decent counterattack. Ooh, so close. 1 HP.
Miracle drone.
Yeah, that was nice. Namshar absolutely needed that. Of course, he was droning up behind this, and he does have this advantage of this +1 missile attacks. It's way faster than Nerchio. And Nerchio does have an Evo Chamber, but
he hasn't used it at all.
Nope, hasn't even started his upgrade.
Yeah, okay, so, well, I mean, he's got his lair faster, so Nerchio will have access to roach speed, but in a head-to-head fight, he won't want his roaches going up against those better upgraded ones, as you pointed out. So maybe he tries to do something with mobility, go for a run-by or some sort of backstab play, perhaps.
I find it crazy that he still hasn't started it, though. That's almost nuts, right?
Yeah, he got that they both got their Evo chambers at the same time, by the way. He's just had it sitting there forever now.
Unless it is exactly like you said, and he will only make roaches now and just try to run circles around Namshar and truly capitalize on that window where he has speed. But now he does start his +1 missile attacks, immediately starts his second Evo chamber as well. But this is bad, man. Imagine if you're Nerchio, right? Nerchio has vision on the other side of the map as well. You click on a roach from your opponent, it's like +1, and you just started your +1. You're like, well, okay, that's not good.
Yep, that's a whole extra volley you need to kill his roaches than he needs on you because he has that upgrade advantage, which is not a situation that you ever want to be in. In mirror matchups, upgrades just have such that impact. But Nerchio's spreading his roaches out. He's just trying to play ball, keep anything from running by into his base. And we have the Hydralisk Den start for him, so he's going to make that tech out of roaches a little bit faster. But a second evolution chamber and +1 carapace for Namshar, as he's committed to just roaches for the moment.
I think the moment that +2 is done, all of Namshar's roaches are going to be positioned on the south side of the map, and he's going to be ready to fight. He's probably running around now. He's like, okay, still no +1. So that gives him the information that there is going to be a realistic window where he can fight with an upgrade. Of course, we knew that he was a full upgrade ahead. That's not something that Namshar could necessarily know. But I mean, Nate, from this point on, I cannot imagine a world where Namshar does not fight the moment he has +2, because there's no reason he wouldn't.
It's a great window for him to have, and we see him getting some Ravagers now. Nerchio's the one that's going to move out and get a little bit of aggressive. The roach speed is going to finish in time for this attack, so Namshar should be able to defend against this. He has what he needs. However, Nerchio, just got to be careful with the positioning there on your forces.
First Hydra upgrade is on the way for Nerchio as well. I think this is kind of like some fake aggression by Nerchio.
Yeah.
That's like, oh, you know, I'm out here.
Can't really do much with this.
No, and I don't think he wants to commit to a fight at all, but he definitely wants to keep Namshar on his side of the map. Namshar's probably just waiting anyway. He's like, well, I've got my upgrades on the way. His Hydra Den is done as well. Not using it yet. He does start his first upgrade. But so both players have a Hydra Den, but I still think this is going to go down to a massive roach fight, at least first. And if Namshar can get a good engagement, I think he should be able to take it with that massive upgrade lead that he has.
Yeah, +2 attack is only just now starting for Nerchio. This Overlord is following the army of Namshar. Trying to see what's up. The Hydra's grabbing Overlord here, and I think he sees, like, okay, well, you're going into Hydras. That Hydralisk range upgrade is about to complete. Does not have the Hydralisk speed, so you got to be careful in terms of moving those across the map.
The minimap seems like it's a bunch of ants running around. It's like they're both running circles. Namshar setting up perhaps a sandwich here, hoping that Nerchio overcommits. Nerchio is sending a lot of forces to the right top side of the map, and he's going to be able to find some economic damage, but he has to be careful. Okay, he's trying to jump on these Ravagers. Gets 2 of them.
Pretty good play to focus the Ravagers there. Gets another one. And actually cleaning up all those Ravagers is really nice, but he does lose a lot of his roaches in the process. Namshar catches the reinforcements in the middle of the map, and he's going to bring his own roaches with the Hydras. He's going to fight with the upgrade disadvantage. He says, okay, the Hydras will give me the DPS output that I need to handle this. One Ravager does get a bile-off on those roaches, but Nerchio devastates that third base. Their drones have to be pulled to defend the south side from Namshar, but the reinforcements are enough to push him back. Nerchio sitting pretty with 13 worker lead.
Yes, I mean, he is sitting on that worker lead as he obviously took down a lot of drones, but he also lost a lot of the Hydras, and Hydras are very expensive units. I mean, in the end, you could say that was kind of an even trade, because Namshar obviously did better in the middle of the map and on the south side, but Nerchio had an absolutely fantastic fight here in the right top side. I think he was even pleasantly surprised by how well that all went. Now we do have that Lurker Den on the way already for Namshar.
Yeah, but he doesn't have any Hydras to turn into them just yet, though.
No, but I mean, you know, he's faking it, I guess, right now. He's like, all right, maybe
that'll be a good thing to have later on, yeah.
And especially if Nerchio doesn't pick up on that. I mean, Lurkers can be devastating in this matchup.
Especially since Nerchio, as you pointed out how Hydras are expensive, he's pretty much only been on Roaches since he lost those Hydralisks. He's just now adding 3 back in, but the Lurkers being available are going to make things quite tricky. As Nerchio, he still has these Overlords around the bases too. He's just been like chilling, checking everything out.
Yeah, he has seen it with this Overlord, I assume it is. So he's getting 7 more Hydras. Now, if I was Nerchio, maybe I'd get a few more Ravages, right? That could be a somewhat decent way to maybe pick off a couple of Lurkers.
He doesn't have adaptive talents, so the Lurkers can't reposition instantly like we've seen them do when they get that Hive upgrade.
Now, there is a Lurker then going down on the bottom of the map as well. Well, Nate, it's another 11-minute game. Things look somewhat even as Namshar is setting up another counterattack over here on the right side. Nerchio was actually pretty aggressive, or at least his army was positioned very aggressively in the middle of the map. So he's going to take a little bit of a beating.
Yep, he's collapsed the army, come down, pick these forces off, and we see him also just buying time with this as well. Is this going to allow him to get Lurkers up if he wants to? We have 3 of them on the map so far, covering this rock position on the west side. Infestation pits going down for both players.
Vipers?
Vipers definitely do a lot versus the Lurkers.
All right, Namshar has to be careful here with these units because this is Nerchio's pretty much entire army. Nerchio being this aggressive while Lurkers are already out on the map. Okay, this can get very wild now. We may be looking at some sort of a base trade scenario as the moment that these Lurkers... Ooh, Namshar getting a little overeager with his Lurkers. I think he lost 1 of them before it sieged up.
And another one is very low, but you're right, Kev. He's forced him into a weird position. That Hydralisk Den is actually at Nerchio's third, where Namshar is currently fighting, so his ability to produce Hydras could be knocked down right here. The Infestation Pit is gone. He was not able to start a Hive, and Nerchio is now going to make his way towards the production and the tech structures of Namshar.
Yeah, this is a hard army to clean up there, right? Namshar cancelled all those Roaches, afraid he would end up losing them almost immediately, so he's still going to focus. Now, obviously, he's doing great at Nerchio's side of the map. Nerchio still has more units out, though. Man, what a game. What is this?
Yeah, it was a
I think Nerchio's got it.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's going for like this weird ZVZ base trade, but Nerchio's inside that base. I mean, all the tech is there, too. If Nerchio saw that, he could just right-click down. The Roach Warren's there, the Hydralisk Den, and the Lurker Den.
I mean, Namshar cancelled all those Roaches. I can sort of get behind it because he didn't want them to spawn 1 by 1 and get picked off 1 by 1. But Nerchio was doing a lot more damage. Nerchio was right on top of the drones, the mineral lines, and the production facilities already, while Namshar was picking off a fort base. And I mean, those 2 things, they just don't stack up well against each other.
No, they do not. This army of Nerchio, there's still that very weak hatchery. Not too far away from these Roaches and Hydras. Namshar's going to get a few more Lurkers. That's his advantage in this situation, is his ability to still utilize those. Since Nerchio lost a good amount of his tech, Nerchio still has his Lurker Den. He has not rebuilt his Hydralisk Den, though. And it looks like he wants to try to punch this one in. Yeah,
but I mean, Nerchio knows it as well. That's why he got all those extra Ravages. And Nerchio knows now that if he's able to pick off 1 or 2 of those Lurkers, that this is his game to lose. Because then there isn't really much else to fall back on for Namshar. Nerchio's just looking, can I get up a ramp? Can I land Corrosive Bowels on top of those Lurkers?
Yeah, and even if he can't, getting a few on that hatchery will be enough to knock it down, too. He's going to take a little bit of this fight. Some of the Bowels do land. He gets 1 on a Lurker, but those 3 Lurkers are still alive.
Yeah, exactly. Like, taking a little bit of a fight against Lurkers is off to... Oh, my goodness. It's a bloodbath, Nate. That's a lot of units that just went down.
He's bleeding out. Those Lurkers are so good in these tense situations. A bit of a Roach run-by happening now. The Queens are going to spot this. Nerchio, no economy behind this. And suddenly, Namshar, the only one who's really able to produce in this situation, is going to take this fight once more. Those Lurkers are still ravaging this army, and Namshar is climbing in this game ahead 2 army supply now as Nerchio's able to rout the Roaches in his base.
That is ridiculous, Nate. There are 16 kills on these 2 Lurkers. The other Lurker doesn't have any kills. 16 kills, and those Lurkers, they just got morphed a minute or 2 ago. So that means those were all Roaches, Ravages, or maybe some of the remaining Hydralisk. 16 kills. Nerchio was just too indecisive there. If you want to fight, if you walk inside of the range of the Lurkers, then you're committed, right? You can't dance back and forth because that's when those spikes are going to hurt you the most.
He's really just soaked so much unnecessary firepower from him. Grabs 1 of the Lurkers there, but there's more now. There's still 3 left. So He has the same amount of problem that he has to deal with as before. That Overseer very weak. He brings up another one. And now look at this. Oh my god, 5 lurkers. What are you going to do? Okay, well, actually, they're all on siege, so this is his opportunity to dive on these, get some corrosive biles down as he picks off 2 of the lurkers. Now there's just 1 remaining, and he's going to clean up all of the lurkers of Namshar. Nerchio, 1 more lurker in the back, going to eat those biles, and has Nerchio done it himself now?
What a ridiculous game, Nate. Just when you think that Namshar is stabilized and he has turned it around, it's suddenly Nerchio who picks off all the lurkers. Now, there are still a couple of units spawning for Namshar, and these Ravages...
drones.
Yeah, the drones, I mean, actually helped out quite a bit. The Ravages are so flimsy. The biggest problem is there is just no income, right? If you take a look at the income, you can see that, okay, wait, this was when the drones were being pulled, I assume,
yeah,
right?
Nerchio's not making any money, though, really. His base, he's just mining off of this half base that he has in his natural, and his main is just about dried up.
Yeah, and that's the problem, right? Because Namshar, yes, Namshar lost the base, but he lost his natural. There's way more mineral left in this one and on this base than in the 2 original bases of Nerchio. And I guess that's why Nerchio is being as hyper-aggressive as he is, because he knows he's on the clock. These patches are going to dry up. You look at them, like 140, 200, 100 minerals. Nerchio has like a few more units. That's it. He's ultra committed and all in.
Yep, there's not really anything else that he can do in this situation. He has to push, and it helps a lot that Namshar's also had this upgrade advantage where that extra bit of carapace, when you're fighting with low numbers of units, that upgrade lead is so nice. Your units are just a little bit more sturdy, and he's like, okay, I'm going to do a Ling run by. He's like, oh, you don't have a base. All right, I'll go to the other base. There's no other base. That's it.
Ooh, every unit counts right now.
He's gonna wish he had those Lings at home.
Yep, this is actually a big deal because every roach is so damn important. Nerchio knows it as well, and he's gonna jump on these roaches immediately. There is no roach warrant for Namshar. What else does Namshar have? Namshar has nothing. Yeah, there's no Hydra then, no roach warrant.
Well, they all bled out because the natural. He never replaced the creep. All of his tech just bled to death.
Oh my god. So now Nerchio's got it. Hey, what have you been watching? What is this game?
Wow, I did not see that coming. Could have moved his, all you had to do is put a couple of overlords, generate creep, but this game has been so crazy and scrappy, didn't even realize.
I mean, if he didn't move those 3 lurkers, that would have never happened in the first place, right? That was an open invitation to Nerchio to walk up that ramp. Namshar had the position, he had the setup, and he had the units, but he unsieged too many of them at once, and Nerchio, I mean, he didn't blink twice, he just jumped on it immediately. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, and now he's got a huge army coming up onto the last base of Namshar. And there are a few Ravagers here to try and corrosive bile and push these roaches back, but he's going to need the sickest corrosive biles that we've never seen in order to close this out here in terms of defending against this. There's just so much for Nerchio. He's adding more Ravagers of his own. The roaches eating some of the shots up front. That carapace upgrade is not going to be enough in these fights. As he steps forward once again, and that roach count just gets lower and lower for Namshar as Nerchio continues to push forward.
Nerchio displaying some really good killer instinct here. We were questioning the fights that happened exactly at this spot when Nerchio also looked good, and there were just a few lurkers to fall back on. Those fights were not the greatest, but later on Nerchio saw one opportunity, he had his moment, he went for it, and with that move, he's going to secure himself the victory here in this first game on Acid Plant.
Hell of a game, Roddy.
19 minutes, very back and forth, hard to call who's going to win it. Feels like, looks good for Namshar, and then it's like, no, okay, now actually looks a lot better for Nerchio. Then Nerchio takes a couple bad fights into the lurkers, and you're like, I kind of like it for Namshar again. But he really unsieged too many lurkers at once. Like, that was like 3, 4 lurkers. He had maybe 4 or 5 lurkers in total.
He had 5 lurkers, and he unsieged 4 of them.
Imagine the fight when he was way down in army supply, were going good for him, and he had 3 lurkers. Imagine how an even fight would go, which it pretty much was at that point, with 5 lurkers. Like, he would never lose them.
And he didn't have adaptive talons either, so those lurkers, when you unburrow them in that situation, it takes them a little bit of time to get sieged up. That's part of how that mechanic works, and just great, as you put it, killer instinct by Nerchio to grab that.
I love the decision as well by Nerchio too. After that crazy base raid scenario where he lost his 3rd and 4th base, a lot of people would be like, well, I don't have a lot of drones, but I've got 29 drones. Maybe I should throw it on a hatch. But he's like, nope, nothing but units. And I mean, he still had, let's say, like 8 mineral patches, because 4, obviously, the small ones, they disappeared very quickly. Still had 4 in the main, 4 in the natural, and he really, really was on the clock, because, I mean, we clicked on it in the end. There is nothing left at that point.
Nope. By the time the game was over, his main was completely dry, and so was the natural. So, Dreamcatcher for game number 2, as we've gotten into another very scrappy series. That might be that's probably one of the most intense back and forth games we've had today. That was really good.
I mean, the first two between So and Sero were very fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think Mana vs. Bly had its charm.
For sure. Well, that 5th game was a roller coaster of emotions.
Even the 4th, I think, as well. It's like, you look at it, adapt skill, everything.
Yep.
And it's like, a couple of Immortals against Roaches. We've seen this a million times before. Roaches can't win that. Or maybe they can.
Can they, though? All right, we're loading into Dreamcatcher for map number 2 of Namshar versus Nerchio. You guys are watching the World Championship Series Challenger Europe Edition. We'll be doing America tomorrow. Plenty of StarCraft to come. As we're loaded in the bottom position, we have the blue Zerg player leading it. He is Nerchio.
Looking for another top 4 finish. He has collected more of them than, I think, almost anyone in the European scene. Maybe Snoot could rival him, right? Because Snoot has been around for an insane amount of time. But Nerchio, definitely one of the most consistent players out there. Going up against this man, spawning in the left top side of Dreamcatcher. He made it out of that very tough group that had Hero Marine, who's been on fire, and of course Stefano as well, and Serral. But he still made it out, and that is already very impressive. It is Namshar. Still beating on Stefano. Unbelievable.
Still just poor Ilias. I'm waiting for Ilias to respond on Twitter. You know, let's get this Ilias Stefano versus Namshar going. Best of 69. Let's get it going. Make it happen.
Goodness. Well, I'll let you cast it, Nate.
Well, that's what we just bring back Pig, you know? He's just the right man for the job.
You know he's watching out there. What time is it in Australia?
I have no idea.
Evening, I assume, right?
Maybe evening. It's 8 a.m. here in LA, so...
I would say like 8, 9, 10 p.m., something along those lines. That's a perfect
they're like
time.
16-ish hours ahead, right? Yeah.
For Piggy to watch a couple ZVZs, that's perfect.
Yeah. He sets his alarm clock for these. Oh, cheeky Namshar. Taking that gold base.
So, are we expecting massive Ling floods here? Lings with upgrades, perhaps? Or I mean, I can't imagine he would play a Roach game if you pull this one off.
No. I mean, it's also kind of hard to get
unless it is
all the way over there.
Yeah, it can be two ways, right? Like, either this is a super secret hidden base, or this is a base that he knows is going to get revealed, but he just wants to capitalize on that extra income and make an insane amount of units. I mean, Ling Bane would obviously be very strong from a gold as well, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Overlord that Nerchio puts outside of his base should see a drone pull if he sends the workers over to the gold. So.
Yeah, but I don't think he will do that because it's actually very far. The gold is very far away.
Yeah.
So a drone pull, I like it on bases where, you know, if the gold is close enough. But do you really want to pull like 8 drones out of your main to not be mining at all for like a solid almost 20 seconds? That's way too much.
So to me, that's what makes this interesting. Is so Namshar is only going to be able to really saturate it with workers that he builds there. Okay, you know what? Nerchio going for his third base right now in a normal spot. I think that makes this, suddenly, I think this looks a lot better. He puts the Evo chamber up front, which might be a little odd. He might be expecting something like a Baleen Nest or a Roach Warren.
I think Nerchio should almost already know at this point. He's like, wait a minute, well, what are you doing? Why do you have an Evo chamber here? Why are you not expanding? You know, we know the timings of ZVZ. We know when we can expand. So I'm kind of expecting these links to maybe head towards the right top side of the map.
Yeah, you got to check that gold.
Yeah. I think Nerchio should know that something weird is up.
Well, he starts +1 Roach attack, cancels it, and
so might be
starts an Overlord.
Wow, he just started. Oh,
well, he goes for his lair.
What?
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
That is the last upgrade I expected.
So this is just meant to be like a hidden base then, where he's like, I'm not going to use the gold in an aggressive way. I mean, obviously he'll be able to build units from there later on for maybe like counterattacks or harass.
But it's so hard to defend though, Nate, especially before you have Roach speed, right? How are you going to defend that base? So you can see Nerchio's like, what?
He's playing the most dangerous game. I mean, just a cheeky Ling Flood in that base is super dead.
I mean, you imagine if Nerchio had a Baling Nest, right? Like, how are you ever going to defend this base? You can't.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
Now, there is no Baling Nest on both sides. I bet Nerchio is incredibly confused about what's going on. Now, he did scout the lair, but that obviously doesn't tell him when it was started, right? Was it about to finish up, or did he just start it? He is moving an Overlord now, just a little bit towards the right.
Yeah, This game's gotten weird. I mean, that's such a huge win for Namshar to be able to have that gold base in this situation, as he is pulling in a fair bit of extra income because of that. And they both got 3 bases. Don't get it twisted, ladies and gentlemen. This is that gold base really showing the value. Of course, there's a huge risk to taking it, as you pointed out, Roddy, but he seems to be capitalizing on it either way. With
every second that goes by, I love this more and more and more for Namshar, obviously, especially when Roach Speed finishes up. I really did not see a universe where A, this wouldn't get scouted, and B, he was able to defend it if this would turn into a normal Roach game. But at this point, I'm starting to believe, and I bet Nerchio is still confused about what is actually going on. And soon it will all make sense. Now he's got his base, he's like, what? This doesn't add up.
Why are you taking your 3rd so late? This just doesn't make any sense. He still hasn't sent anything to the gold either, which is just mind-boggling.
Yeah. And now he's going to scout here again, and he's like, what? What? I can just imagine Nerchio talking to himself right now. It's like, this is the weirdest thing.
What is this guy doing? It doesn't make any sense.
He's like, double Evo, and I think now he's going to see double Evo, Roaches. He's like, wait a minute, what about the gold? What if he scouts it with creep, Nate?
That's a sad way to find out that your opponent took the gold at the start of the game. Oh, my creep spread reached the corner of the map, and he'd already mined it out, so.
This is so funny. I can't believe you can pull this off. 6 minutes. 6 minutes long. Namshar has had a gold base, and Nerchio has not checked it once.
That is incredible. I mean, Nerchio's got his 3rd saturated now, so that income starts to even out a little bit. But these Roaches, are they gonna? Nope. Okay, they're not going to go over there.
He's gonna see. He's like, okay. He's probably gonna click on them, and he's like, well, your upgrades are not spectacular, so none of this still makes any sense to me. What have you been doing here?
What do the Roach numbers look like? Namshar's got 10 more Roaches on the map right now. Both players are adding 10. So that's the advantage that gold will have given him as we reach this point where he's just going to say, I've got way more Roaches than you. And that Carapace upgrade, I think if they can fight, I mean, an even number of Roach fight could be huge here. Namshar's just going to run right inside of Nerchio's base. That Roach Horn is exposed too. If he sniped something like that, that
he
could
got
be
it already.
monstrous.
No, I thought for a second he got it already, but instead...
Queens just die really bloodily.
Yeah. And at the same time, still more units coming in from the north side, and Nerchio's probably asking himself, where did you get all those Roaches from? Why do you have so much? I was the one who had a base more. You expended late.
39. Oh my God.
What, Nate?
He didn't check once the whole game for the gold. That's painful.
This is going to inspire some people on the ladder. They're like, you know, people told me that above Diamond League, I cannot pull stress like this anymore. And I need to play normal and solid and straight up. Well, apparently you can just take the gold, guys, and it never gets scouted.
No big deal. Just don't send anything from it. Just build drones there. No problemo.
That's unreal. What a game.
That's as straight a bop as I've ever seen. Just took the gold, didn't scout it, had more Roaches, won.
Let's run them in on the other side of the map. It's like, upgrades are nice. And I bet Nerchio is like, still while this happens, like, where is he getting all these units from? And then the first thing that probably what he does, maybe I think by the time maybe he saw all those Roaches, then he knows, but he will obviously check the graphs and it's like, or maybe hit rewind.
Well, I mean, if you look at I guess if you just look at the build order.
Yeah, then you also see the extra hatch.
Yep.
It doesn't tell you necessarily where it is.
But he wasn't at his 3rd or his 4th, so...
he could have taken the left bottom side. To be honest, people kind of ignore the People ignore the left bottom side on Dreamcatcher because it's obvious to take the hidden gold. So if you take the left bottom side, Nerchio never checked any of the bases in the left bottom either.
That's true. That's a fair... If I thought my opponent was hiding a base on Dreamcatcher, I'd always check the gold. Both golds, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the one gold is in the middle of the map. That's hiding in plain sight.
That's a little... Hey, man, a lot of people walk between those rocks, you know, so...
That would be funny as well. It's like, man, what is my opponent doing? And then you send the unit through the middle of the map, and it's like a gold base with cannons and missile turrets or whatever, you know, bunkers.
Yeah.
Spine, spores. You're like, what? What is this? Is this like an offensive gold with... Like, should I attack it or am I defending against your gold? Like, I'm not exactly sure.
Well, people use it so differently, too, because you talked about this at the start. It's like you can just throw on a Baneling Nest, and then you're like, well, I've got the gold, so I've got more lings, or at least you have that proxy position as well.
I mean, I expected Namshar to go hyper-aggressive with that goal, to be like, all right, just get like 5 or 6 drones up there and then just produce an insane amount of Zerglings and Banelings and just go for it. But no, it was the opposite. He just used it as a hidden base. Who says you need to be legit in Grandmaster League, Nate? You can still pull off a couple weird builds every now and then.
There's no such thing as legit at that level. Whatever works, works.
I bet this man is not super pleased with how that previous game played out after that hard-fought victory in game number 1, but it's still all tied up. We're looking in the main base of Nerchio.
He faces off against our Red Zerg player, winning with the cheeky hidden gold base in the northeast. He is Namshar.
It's so typical as well that in a game where someone would take a hidden base, that is the game where Nerchio skips the Baneling Nest. And he's like, you know what? No, I'm going to play a little bit greedy. I'm going to go straight into roaches.
I'm going to play a little bit greedy.
Yeah.
It's like,
I believe that would be good for me. If I can just get some roaches out, it should be all right. I don't need a Baneling Nest here. Like, well, it would have actually been pretty nice.
Namshar's like, I was born in the greed. Molded by it.
Lost and Found is... Lots of Fun is an interesting map. It has a lot of choke points as well, right? I think especially in the TVZ matchup, there are so many positions that are incredibly good for tanks.
Yeah.
There's so many different pushes possible. In ZVZ, I often feel it's like, well, let's shuffle around a little bit, and then eventually we both settle for a roach fight that we can live with.
I do think that if we get into like another acid plant situation, those lurkers become big for the same reason as you have those. There's a couple of those cliff areas where in the middle of the map, we were just looking at it, like where you have the steps that go down and then right back up, like lurkers can help close off positions here. I think that's a really powerful way to use them. Nerchio's going for that fast third hatchery, by the way.
It's not hidden though.
It's not hidden. Nerchio, what are you doing?
I think Namshar had a couple of fantastic lurker fights against Stefano, right, on this map, where he was pretty far behind, but he had some defensive lurkers.
You know, apparently he won the last 4 times against him, so...
I have learned that, yes.
Yeah.
It's a fun fact.
Like, that's the strategy. That's the way to do it.
Can we just get that, like, for every player in WCS EU Challenger, just how many games in a row they've won against Stefano?
Just Stefano. And if they haven't won any, be like, oh, they've lost their last 7 series against Stefano.
It's like we're previewing a PvP, and it's like, well, both of these guys have beat Stefano a lot lately, so it seems like they're in good shape. Stefano's going to be like, what is this? Why is everyone hating?
Bailey Nest on the way for Namshar. There is maybe... Nah, he took his own third. So his third's just going to be later. Delays a little bit of that larva production, pretty much. I guess that's like the big kicker, being able to get a queen over there. But otherwise, everything is still very similar between these two players. So Nerchio just looking for that slight edge in the start of this map 3.
Yeah, on the asset plant, after or even before the very first Baneling fight, there was a minor advantage for Nerchio where he had a couple of extra drones, but it was so small that it often comes down to, you know, having 4 extra Zerglings or not. That obviously is not going to have a massive impact on your economy if you're doing it over like 30 drones. But we'll keep a close eye on it, because I do think it's always interesting to compare those scenarios where technically absolutely nothing has happened yet, right? And then often one player does somehow create a small advantage for himself of 2 or 3 workers, and it makes you wonder, where does it even come from?
Yeah, Evolution Chambers coming in for both players. So far for these two, it's been for that roach attack upgrade. We haven't seen any of the Mega Ling play like that Carapace opening or the melee opening. That's a little bit more towards the NA Zerg styles that we've been looking at. Lair starts faster for Namshar though. Goes for the Roach Warren.
I think that's going to be quite a bit faster actually, because I definitely do not think that we saw 4-minute lairs on our asset plant. So this definitely feels a lot faster than what we saw before in this series. Nerchio is just running around with Zerglings, trying to maybe get some information. It's going to be hard to get that scout off. He needs to somehow get a Zergling all the way up into the main base. We'll keep a close eye on that production tab, but still no lair on the way for Nerchio. He's just producing extra queens. He might fire it up now, but there is a chance that Namshar could get a fight with better roach upgrades. Even was.
Okay, they do end up starting the roach attack at the same time. Yeah, but you're right, no lair yet for Nerchio is an interesting call. He's got his Roach Horn, so with the drones that he has on the way behind, I don't know that there's too much he can do here. He's okay, he's got the Lings, he's got the Banes. Well, I mean, if they were to find those drones.
That would be nice. The accidental
cheeky 12 drone kill. No big deal.
always feels good when they're all stacked up as well, right?
That's the best. Nothing beats that. These Banelings come over to deal with the Lings. Splits the Banes. Nerchio, he might be able to get those stacked up drones.
Splits are good though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, wow. Namshar actually really made the best of that. Yeah, in the end you have to settle for that one extra drone. That could have been a lot worse. Despite all of that, Nerchio was droning up at home though, so he squeezed out a lot of extra drones and created a small lead for himself, and obviously after picking up 6 drones, he has created a little bit more than just a small lead, but Namshar is already firing up a lot of roaches, and we know that his roach speed is going to be way faster than the roach speed of Nerchio.
Now these Lings are trying to surround the roaches, clean up this unit count. We do have roach speed coming in so soon for Namshar, as he's been pumping out nothing but roaches looking to attack.
Random Banelings, unfortunately that's the wrong base. If they would have gone for, if they would have came in from the north side and go for this one, there is a small chance that maybe Namshar could have got what he was looking for.
Nerchio still has so many more drones than Namshar, and at this point it's like you just put your pedal to the metal defending. He's got his lair now, his roach speed's on the way. I think the +1 attacks being lined up together are really nice. Namshar is not even moving across the map, so Nerchio, I mean, you just defend this attack, and I feel like he has what he needs to produce the army to defend. You need to just realize this is happening. I think his Overlord just saw those roaches moving from the southern position.
Namshar is droning up behind this, so you could say that this is necessarily not an all-in, but Namshar definitely needs to get something done. Maybe he can get a cancel on this 4th base, and don't forget about those Banelings, Nate, that are coming in from the north side, that are looking for a juicy connection. Namshar is distracting Nerchio. Here are those Banes.
And 8 drones nabbed, 9, 13 at that west base. Not shabby at all. And Namshar does take a worker lead as these roaches are going to pull back now. Because Nerchio does not have roach speed, he cannot really maneuver too much with these forces.
Imagine if Namshar gets both. I think he was hoping for one or the other, right? Either a great Baneling connection or getting that 4th base. Imagine if he can get both, but Nerchio is not letting him. There's multiple queens here as well, so you got to be careful if you want to right-click on one of those hatches, because you may end up losing a lot of your roaches if those queens start transfusing.
Yeah, immediately pushes forward as well once that roach speed upgrade finishes for him. Both players get +2 attack immediately. So that is lined up, and I thought he was trying to squeeze out Hydra this time, but I guess he either cancel it or on blind Roddy.
No, there was a Hydra then. You're definitely not crazy.
Okay.
I feel like I saw a Hydra then as well. Or maybe we're both crazy. That's totally possible.
Yeah. I wouldn't surprise me either way. So Burrow and tunneling claws for Namshar. So he wants to have that mobility option for the harass and of course being undetected.
I like this. He sees 3 overlords. He's like, I like what I see. Let's go.
Stand still for me. Oh my god.
What?
MLG airhorn. Airhorn.mp3. Oh. Oh, so satisfying.
Meanwhile, a couple drones are going down though against this little roach drone, but still worth it, Namshar, don't worry. 7 drones don't cost as much as 3 overlords, right? Actually, they cost more, but it doesn't matter. Still look cool.
Yeah, that's all. At the end of the day, what does anything else really matter that much? Roaches are coming into the northwest, of course. Those extra upgrades we were talking about are not ready yet, so they cannot burrow, they cannot run away in an easy, effective manner, but they get so many drones and then pull back. Meanwhile, we have a little bit of a skirmish in the center, using those Ravagers to push each other back. I think there's a Changeling mixed into Nerchio's army that Namshar has been using to keep tabs on him.
Yes.
The cheeky little hidden Ling.
So,
oh wait, never mind, it's Nerchio's Changeling. It's a red Ling. I'm like, oh, I guess that's not. It's Nerchio's own Changeling. That's just weird.
All right, so Namshar has burrowed his roaches in the north side of the map. I don't think there's a lot of detection on the map at all, right? Not a single overseer. Where is that single overseer? I'm clicking on it. Okay, yeah. It's over here. Of course, the single overseer is somehow going to spot these roaches. Did Nerchio pick up on it? Yes, he's morphing additional overseers. So Nerchio knows that this is happening. I love how he puts it in the static mode almost immediately. So unfortunately for Namshar, Nerchio picked up on this very quickly because he didn't have a lot of detection, and I think he was kind of in the dark, but he just spotted it at the right time. All these overlords are going to group up, by the way.
Oh my god.
You want satisfying, Nate?
No, it can't happen. It's not possible.
Oh. 4 is pretty good, but at the same time, I like this fight for Nerchio, though. I mean, all overlord memes aside, this is not a bad fight, but there are still burrowed roaches being active in the main base, in the natural, trying to be annoying, trying to pick up some drones, more roaches on the north side.
I want to see 6 overloads.
No, we need 5 first, right? He only got 4 there.
That's it.
Okay, Nerchio is actually a little too distracted with, I think, all these roaches that are running around. This base is still low on HP, Nate. Maybe a couple of corrosive balls on top of this hatchery. No, he's like, I like killing overlords.
He's like, he's turned this into a numbers game.
Okay, he still gets the overlord as well.
Sick puppy. Rest of the army's going to come out for Nerchio to push Namshar off of that east base, but a lot of biles landing on Nerchio's army. And man, that roach harassment. Burrowed roach is just so devastating.
It really felt that Nerchio scouted it in time, and I thought he was going to be ready for it, but in the end, he was not ready for these burrowed roaches. And these roaches have completely picked Nerchio apart. Incredibly well played here by Namshar, because it's not easy. If your opponent spots out your plan, he's like, hey, overlords. Come on, Namshar, I know you like killing overlords. He's going to go for the double kill.
He's going for the double.
I love how this story became Nerchio versus the overlord. I feel like Nerchio's helping him.
Name a more iconic you do. Exactly.
Double kill.
Got him.
He killed 10 overlord. That's pretty amazing.
What a great game. What a great game we've got here. Great concave by those roaches of Namshar. He's trying to get the overseers too.
And he's still killing roaches, Nate. Namshar has killed 52 drones and another overlord. Why not? This is actually an amazing play, because I really thought that when Nerchio saw it, I often feel against burrowed roaches, if you spot the very first attack, I often feel that the defender is going to be okay. Obviously, you lose a little bit here and there. But Namshar, despite the fact that Nerchio knew there was roach burrow, was still able to get all those openings, being so active with his units in the middle of the map. Obviously, supply blocking Nerchio a couple of times, and now once again, because he has managed to kill 11 overlords and an overseer in this game.
And another one.
That's, I mean, we joke, right? But that's 1,200 minerals or more that he has picked up at this point.
He's killed almost a mineral patch of overlords here. A small one at least. These Ravagers pull back, get a couple biles. By the way, big roach swell to that north base. Picking off even more units, getting the Ravagers here. Nerchio just taps out GG.
Damn, I'm really impressed with Namshar that game. That was not easy. I felt it was kind of on paper. Obviously, the beginning was good for Nerchio, right? Then Namshar did have that like sort of fake attack on the fourth base where he put a lot of pressure on that hatch, but he also distracted Nerchio with those banelings. It's like, okay, that's good. But then he went for the mass roach play, and I felt that Nerchio saw it so early. He saw the very first roaches coming in. I was like, I think Nerchio can deal with this. But Namshar just ran circles around Nerchio and eventually found all the openings he was looking for.
Just a sick game there out of Namshar. He's playing really well. I'm loving what I'm seeing out of him. I mean, he gets the bot build by not getting spotted on Dreamcatcher, but then this game, the relentless roach attacks and also the biles, just he getting on many overlords.
Triple kill, quad kill, couple double kills. I mean, feels good, right?
Yeah. In a situation like that, when you're Nerchio, it's like, well, you're trying to replace your drones, but then you're getting supply blocked, and you're like, well, I'm not working on my army or my tech at all, and it's just painful.
So the next game is going to be played on Catalyst. Nerchio's on the ropes. He needs to win this one to make another top 4 finish on Challenger. And for Namshar, that would be a very nice return, right? He had a bumpy start to the beginning of the year. Even at tournaments at WSG in China, it didn't really go his way. But we all know that Namshar is one of the top Zergs in Europe. He's been, like, throughout the last year, he had multiple top 8 finishes. We often joke about how it was always Showtime stopping him. But he's looking good here.
Yeah, looking fantastic as we get things set up here. But we're going to go to a quick break before we get into game number 4. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, with more Namshar versus Nerchio. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series Europe Challenger. We are currently in the middle of Nerchio versus Namshar, which has turned out to be a hell of a series. Pretty good ZVZ so far here, Roddy.
We're getting some giggles out of it, some cool plays, some really good moves, and some wonky builds. So I think that's pretty much the best we could ask for in the ZVZ best of 5.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it all. We haven't seen any mutas yet. I wouldn't mind a little muta build.
Cheeky muta. Get to the end game, see some Ultralisk Stampede lurkers, maybe.
But definitely impressed with the way that Namshar is playing this series so far. I love the approach to it. I'm struggling with the scoreboard. Sorry, Nate. He's showing us a lot of variety, right? Like the openings always seem similar. These are not guys that like to bust out 12 pools or link flots and stuff. But when it comes to the mid game, when it comes to tacking up, even when it comes up to going to lair, he's showing us a lot of variety. And I think that shows that he is a very confident young man. Spotting in the right bottom side of Catalyst. He is one map away from breaking into the top 4 of Challenger. That also important top 4, it is Namshar.
Breaking out some cool stuff here. His opponent in the Northwest, seasoned veteran, who's probably won more than 4 matches against Stefano. He is Nerchio.
Can we get that fact up, please?
I didn't see that again. You know, we all know he's made a lot of money. We know he won 2016 Valencia. Can we replace the 2016 Valencia fact with how many times he's beaten Stefano if we get to Game 5? Please. We need to crunch those numbers.
That final back then in 2016, I really enjoyed that final. I thought it was a sick final against Marine Lord with all the Ghost Liberator, against the Banelings and the Ultras and the Infestors. Even though that was a 4-0, I think it was one of the best 4-0s I've ever seen. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed every single game.
I remember you talking that one up. I think that was the one DreamHack I didn't make it to in 2016.
I think you were there.
No, not that Valencia one.
Really?
Yeah, that particular one I wasn't at.
Oh.
But,
and then you came next year because you heard about the paella.
I heard about the paella.
And sangria.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not missing that one again. No, it was a good final. It was a good tournament as well.
Yeah, those were good times. And Marine Lord was that player that brought a lot of hope, right? Since we're talking about French StarCraft players, you know.
How many times did Marine Lord beat Stefano?
Ooh, I don't know. That's a good question. But, you know, we need to get In Control back in here. I can't crunch the numbers as well as he can.
No one can, actually. I mean, that's why he's the number cruncher.
Yeah.
All right, so everything is very standard so far here on Catalyst. Both players have gone for the most standard traditional openings. I'm going to keep a close eye. This is one of those maps, though, Nate, where I would be much more willing to say that there is a chance Nerchio makes more than just a couple Zerglings and more than just a couple Banelings. I think this is one of those maps where you can actually start being very aggressive early on. You don't necessarily have to tack up and get +1 missile attacks with roaches. Obviously, it's solid on this map as well, but I think this is a map that actually kind of caters towards some good old Link Bane aggression.
Yeah.
Or even just like hatchery type pushes, you know, with
very straight up, easy to pressure, distance isn't that long. But we do have thirds going up for both players. Those Baneling nests are coming in, so it will require someone would have to pull the trigger on it. But I guess that was kind of our discussion when this series started, right? Is that neither of these players are really the guys to do those sort of massive Link Flood all-in type plays.
Nope. I think they're both quite confident in their ability to play that Roach Ravager dance. Wouldn't be their first tango. Like you said, everyone on the European server does it all the time. But I think if you do want to spice things up, and there is a good map for it, to be a little more aggressive with Zerglings and Banelings and get a little more damage done, Catalyst may very well be your map.
Yep. A couple defensive Banelings being preemptively put up here by Namshar as that scouting Ling for Nerchio goes in. And I don't believe he sees anything of concern. There's no fast lair, I didn't see a Roach Warren or anything, so he's like, okay, yeah, everything seems normal. He's getting his own evolution chamber. Namshar goes for the lair. Namshar's been getting that lair a bit faster generally, but okay, Nerchio's going to get it at the same time now.
Yeah, both getting that 4-minute lair, so it's pretty identical to what we saw in Lost and Found, at least coming out of Namshar. Nerchio's like, maybe it was a good build. Maybe I should give it a try as well. Nerchio has created a nice little worker lead for himself, though, which is funny, right? Because Nerchio just didn't really make any defensive Banelings, I guess. He made a few less Zerglings, and those things, they do add up very quickly, as Nerchio has somehow created... This is kind of what I was talking about in Lost and Found. This feels like a game where absolutely nothing has happened, yet Nerchio is sitting at a 4-5 worker lead. That's pretty magnificent.
Yeah, the ebb and flow of ZVZ. 2 drones picked off there by Nerchio with his random links. Not bad.
Yeah, but those are the only... Nerchio's playing a dangerous game because those were pretty much the only links that he had. Now he is going to make a few more defensive links. But yeah, neither player, once again, being very aggressive. They're just rushing up to that 50+ drone economy. And of course, that is the amount of drones where you can really start making some roaches. Well, Nate, we were wondering in the early game, Namshar is really switching things up a lot in this series. He's making it so hard for Nerchio to figure out what kind of playstyle he's going up against. Namshar scouting the main base. Nerchio's making a lot of roaches, but of course, Namshar can just make defensive roaches as well.
Gets a decent Baneling shot on those drones. The Lings are able to grab 5 of them as both players continue to crank out a lot of them. And you know, a big thing that comes up in ZVZ is if you scout that Spire play, you usually try to time that roach speed, do a big attack. You want to put on a lot of pressure, get some damage done. But Nerchio's roach speed is not going to be, he didn't immediately go for it when that lair was ready. That Spire is way further ahead. It'll be hard for Nerchio to get across the map.
Yeah, it is hard, obviously, to be aggressive with slow roaches, but I do have the feeling that Nerchio's expecting something. Nerchio's already going up to 4 bases, despite the fact that he lost a couple drones. And when he morphed his Overseer, I was kind of convinced that he was going to send it into the main base, or over those bases at least, see what's up. Now, Nerchio does start the Hydra then, but that's still going to be very annoying. He's got a bunch of Overlords out on the map. And in the previous game, I mean, obviously we joked about it because it was really funny and cool to see. But Nerchio lost way too many Overlords.
Yeah, he loses 2 drones there as well to this little Ling poke again. But these roaches don't have speed, Kev. They're crossing the map very slowly. The Mutalisks will be out in time before these were to get anywhere. Oh, no, actually, Namshar's coming back, sorry.
So very quick lurkers here for Nerchio. While Namshar's actually starting melee upgrades. That gives me the idea that he's going to start Baneling speed soon as well. And that he's going to go for that mass Ling Bane Muta style. That can be very effective against Roaches and Hydras if the Banelings connect with the Hydras. The real problem though, Nate, are going to be the lurkers. Lurkers are stupid good against Banelings.
Yeah, the lurker setup is going to be really big there. And you're spot on. We see that so often. As you get those Banes into the Hydralisks and the Mutas become so powerful. Trying to grab one going between the bases. That's a really nice pick off here. Going for the next Hydralisk. 1 Muta's down. Got to be very cautious with keeping these bad boys alive. And another Muta gets killed.
I like picking off the Hydras, but I don't really like going for the Queens. Even though Namshar does finally get a Queen for his efforts there, but I feel Queens are just so tanky. They have so much HP. It's better to just fly around and
they have that, yeah, that health pool with that armor they start with is really nice too. Nerchio bringing his Roaches and Hydralisks together at his 3rd base. More Mutalisks on the way. Yeah, more Lings being added. Bane speed.
So he's really gonna go for it, but I think now when Namshar spots this lurker then, what do you do now? Do you go for it at this point already? I don't think you can really do that, right? That's almost too risky. He's sending a couple of links towards the right top side of the map. +1 melee is done, so these links do have decent DPS, but not enough to gun down that hatch. These Mutas still being annoying though, Nate.
Yep, trying to grab everything that they can. I think they grabbed a few Hydralisks as well, as we have the Roaches for Nerchio pushing south. And these Mutalisks for Namshar are just, I mean, is this how he does it? He's having such a hard time getting the Hydralisk count together that he needs to actually deal with this.
Yeah, I don't think that Nerchio, I don't know why Nerchio is running to the other side of the map. I find that a very risky move. Even though he does get a good fight, I guess, against these links. But like you said, the Hydra count simply isn't there. So Nerchio, this is a risky decision. I guess Nerchio's okay with ending up losing these units as long as he gets enough economic damage done. Now let's see how many drones Nerchio can truly get. I feel like he needs to get at least, I would almost say 20 here, right?
He's going to do insane, catastrophic damage. But the drones have all been pulled away, Roddy. The Mutas are in high enough numbers that they can gladly come mess this up. They've got +1 attack. These Roaches are not that sturdy against these. And there you go. You've cleaned up the whole push. And guess what? There's more.
Yeah, and 9 drones absolutely not enough for that amount of units. If we take a look at the units lost resource tab, we see that Nerchio has lost quite a bit more as well. This fort base is very exposed, was already a little bit beat up as well. I don't think these Hydras that don't have speed, by the way, are going to save the deal, save the day, or deal, both.
Yeah, it's a bad deal trying to save the day here. As that bottom left base has been taken. And you just said it, those Hydralisks without that speed, they're going to have a very hard time catching up to these Mutalisks. There's no creep for them to use to get around.
Wouldn't you just love, okay, I understand that Namshar maybe was a little bit worried to put himself all in, and he's making a few more drones. And I say, like, make a few more, but I would rather see him start trying to trade real soon before the lurk account goes up, right? Nerchio obviously didn't have money to really have a lot of lurkers to fall back on, but soon he will. He already has his first lurkers on the way. He has plenty of Hydras out. Maybe Namshar is okay with playing 4 base against 3, but Mutaling Bane, you can actually lose 4 base against 3 if you run into lurkers.
And needs to be very cautious. As you said, the lurkers, that line damage versus banelings just messes them up so fast once you get like 4 or 5 of those together. And we saw that in those earlier scrappy trades in the first game of this series. The mutas are going to come in, focus down the Spore Crawler. The spawning pool also in danger now too.
It's 28 mutas. I guess that's the way to deal with lurkers. You just don't fight the lurkers. You just go into the main base over and over and over again. You can't really fight that amount of Hydras, but...
He's like, base trade me. Let's do it. Yeah. Come at me, bro. Yeah.
28 mutas. How often do you see that in ZVZ?
Building 4 more. Yeah, he's not stopping. +2 attack for the mutas, +2 melee. I mean, really, you said it. The big thing that you got to be concerned about here is just the lurkers. If you can get Bane hits off on the Hydras and the mutas can clean up, great. But the lurkers are what's going to prevent that from happening. And that's just going to come down to Nerchio's control and Namshar trying to grab him. If he moves onto the map and he can catch him in the middle, that's the big opportunity. Yep.
There's a good chance that Namshar is going to try to drag all these Hydras into the main again as well, right? And then just collapse on that forward base.
Yep. Oh my god.
It's like, hey, all my mutas are here. If I were you, I would put all the Hydras in the main, all right? Cool. Well, no, let's...
7-dimensional intergalactic chess, Roddy.
On the water as well, or no?
Yeah, on the water.
Okay, good. There's one kind of exposed lurker. There's another one that just unburrowed. That's a nice little pick-off, because lurks are expensive units. Couple free overlords, perhaps. Yep, at least one of them.
Well, if Namshar's not killing Nerchio's overlords, what is he doing, really? He's going to try and pick off this base on the right side. There's the Lings. Does manage to grab it. The lurkers aren't here, but needs to be careful. Where's the Overseer? I mean, detection on those lurkers is big. I guess the Hydras are going to make it tough, too.
Namshar is sort of okay with this scenario, where he's like, you know, I'm on 4 bases, you're on 3. But he is playing a dangerous game. Like, I like the way that Namshar has played it. I'm a fan so far. But I still feel that eventually his army in a straight-up fight is going to be a little bit less efficient, right? Oh, those lurkers, he's going to try to pick them off. If he had an Overseer here, he would be able to pick off a few more. Namshar, instead, Banelings rolling towards those Hydras.
And they actually get a few juicy detonations on those Hydralisks. As the rest of these units come up, of course, the lurkers will make mincemeat of the Ravagers, but what's the Mutalisk count now? We have 5 more about to pop. 38.
Okay,
ay.
And Nerchio is stacking up to Hive, though, so he can soon create a couple Vipers.
Yeah.
Parasitic Bomb is good against Vikings, Nate. You should try it against Mutalisk.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a big potential, especially if you get a few of them. There's so many mutas. Splitting them all apart would be quite difficult to do.
Impossible, almost. Especially because mutas, they clump up as well, right? So it's really hard to find the right one almost immediately. So Nerchio, all he needs is a little bit of gas, a little bit of perhaps some static defenses to feel safe. If he gets a couple Vipers out, there is absolutely hope here. I'm so shocked that Namshar does not bring an Overseer with his Muta Cloud, right? Like, I really feel there was potential a couple of times. There's a couple of Lings going to run into the main base. He's going to use hold position there. Now he spots there is a Hive as well, and I wonder, does this trigger? Okay, he brought the Overseer.
Oh, he got the lurkers. He got 2 of them here now. And this center base, again, 21 drones killed. Man, Namshar has just smacked the crap out of Nerchio in this series. Amazing play. Namshar takes it 3-1.
That was a clinic, man. Namshar showed us different play styles. He showed us a little bit of everything. He showed us Roach Burrow running circles around Nerchio. Now this final game with the Muta